don't have a bolster at home, grab a pillow. And if your pillow's super thin, you can grab two to stack on top of each other. Or even two toss pillows can work together like a bolster. So maybe a blanket if your house is cold. But what I kind of themed with yesterday that was rolling over to today, we've had this wintry storm, this mix of ice and snow, and it's just a mess. It's just something you don't want to be out in if you don't have to be. It can be very dangerous. We lost our heat for a little over a day on top of half the neighborhood. Half the neighborhood lost their heat. And this is a new neighborhood. These are new builds. These are brand new units. And so it's been interesting, like seeing the forum on Facebook, the neighborhood forum, where everybody's getting on and talking about, what their issues are. And somebody was saying, if you have a heat gun, the heat gun can, defreeze the pipes. And so people were asking to borrow, and it was really fun and cool to see the community kind of coming together. And our neighborhood has lots of hills in it, and they're pretty steep. So we knew if we wanted to get out, it was going to be dangerous just due to the hill. And I think the second day of the storm, there's a nurse in the neighborhood who needed to go to work earlier in the morning. And she was going down the hill and lost control of the car and sideswiped a car that was parked on the street. And so everybody's just like informing each other, okay, the streets, even in the neighborhood, aren't safe. The roundabout, when you enter the neighborhood, really isn't safe. But you have these men in the neighborhood who have come out and said they have these, like, whatever kind of vehicles, because I don't even know what they are, but they've described the vehicles they have, and they said, I can get anywhere. Who needs medicine? I'm going to make a run. Who needs groceries? And I just thought that was so heartwarming to see these people just putting it out to the entire neighborhood, saying, hey, if you need something, I'm here for you. I will take care of you, basically. Even when we contacted a couple different companies to come help us with our heating unit, we couldn't get anybody here because they were saying the roads are too bad and we probably won't get there till next week. But Rob was able to talk to a technician on the phone, and the technician gave him some troubleshooting things to try. And so yesterday, Rob was outside doing the troubleshooting, and it worked. So even just talking to someone who knows that trade was able to tell him over the phone, hey, try these couple of things. And so even though we were lucky enough to get an appointment for today, we did what you did, Patty, with the vaccination. We had the same attitude. It's like, we got our heat working. Don't even bother coming to our house. Go to another house, because somebody else is really needing the heat right now. And we've got ours under control again. So anyway, last night, the whole thing was about what brings warmth to your heart and your soul. So because we had been holed up and freezing, and we had been curling up the dogs and each other in blankets to keep warm and drinking coffee and hot tea to stay warm, we were thinking about what brings warmth to our heart and soul. And I asked Rob, I was like, that's going to be my theme. What brings warmth to your heart and soul? And he said, the Beatles. He loves the Beatles music. And then he said, a plate of lasagna. And he said, hugs. And then I gave my examples. But today, I wanted to share the examples of what my neighbors were offering. And then it was so heartwarming because we don't watch the news much anymore because it's just, been too much. But we needed to watch the local news last night because I'm crossing my fingers. I really need to go visit my parents this weekend, and they've both gotten their shots, and my sisters need a break. So my intention was to get to North Carolina, but with this weather, I don't know, it's looking kind of dicey. But so last night we were watching the news to try to figure out, like, what's the weather going to be like the rest of the week? Am I going to be able to take that trek? And we saw the most heartwarming stories, and you may have seen it, but if you didn't, I want to share. There's a single mom whose heat went out in her house. And again, this is the good thing about social media. She put it out on Facebook. She had no heat. She was a single mom. She couldn't get out of her driveway. And she had a fireplace if anybody could bring her wood. And there was this guy who'd never even met her, but they were connected on social media. And he brought wood to her house, chopped up the wood, brought it to her home. refused to take any payment for it. And when the news discovered it, they went to interview him and they said, what, propelled you to do this? And he goes, my mom taught me, that I should help my neighbor. And one of the things that I had mentioned last night about what warms the heart and soul was acts of kindness, just being able to witness or to hear about acts of kindness. And so I wanted to share those acts of kindness with you today. And I'm going to share one more that happened to my sister. And she lives in North Carolina. Her kids are at college, except for one daughter. And so her husband on Valentine's Day took her and her daughter out to eat. They live in a tiny town. They pretty much know just about everybody there. And they had gone out to eat out of town. So when they went to the restaurant, they did not know one individual in that restaurant. And when they got the bill and opened up the bill, it said, Happy Valentine's Day, your bill has been taken care of. So someone just randomly picked that family, picked that table and said, I want to pay for your meal. And so she's all ecstatic now because that's never happened to her before. And now she's planning to pay it forward somehow. So on this frigid day, on this day where we may be holed up and a little cabin fever, maybe going a little, I'm not feeling it, but you might be feeling a little stir crazy wanting to get out. I want us to use this practice and these stories as a way to warm not just the body, but the heart and the soul. And then we'll get started on the mat. So yes, I've got everything set. We're going to start on our back. Now, one thing that it's okay if you can't do this because you may not have the space, but if you would turn your mat sideways like mine is, just for the first little bit. And if you don't have the room, like Patty, you're in between twin beds. If you don't have the space, don't worry about it. We'll begin on our backs. Beginning in corpse pose. Your feet slid apart, ankles rolling away from one another. You can let your hands rest on your belly. Close your eyes. And feel the support of the earth beneath you. Maybe send some gratitude to your home. Your home that provides shelter, safety, comfort, and warmth. Be grateful for the individuals out there that feel called to help their neighbors in times of need. And let those stories be inspiration. Let those stories help to revive your hope in humanity. Remember, yoga means unity, to bring together, to claim as one. And what's important about these stories and about our yoga practice is that it helps us to realize we are one. We are all interconnected. And even though we like to think that we're independent and can do things for ourselves, we're actually all codependent upon each other. So let this practice help to remind you that each one of us play a special part in this tapestry of life, and that we're all interwoven together. Now begin to explore your breath. As you breathe in and out through the nose and bring it under your conscious command. You've already learned through experience that it never hurts to be reminded that the breath can link the mind and the body. And it can also link the body to the soul so that we feel more connected, more whole. It's in that state of wholeness that we feel the connection, where we feel the pull and the desire and the drive to help one another. Notice the belly rising on your inhale, falling on the exhale. Remembering even the breath that we breathe is being sent to us from the plants and the trees. And we're equally giving back to them. So even they are part of this tapestry of life. Let's all take a cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Pour the breath out audibly through the mouth. Inhale, slide your feet back. And as you exhale, you're going to roll to face my direction. Now, we're going to have the knees bent and stacked, one on top of the other. Now, you can choose to have your head held up with your hand like I'm doing, or you can lower it down to the arm. Either way, you want your top hand kind of hanging over, resting on the floor in front of you to help you to brace and balance. And we're going to start with the clam pose. So keep your feet stacked, but as you inhale, start to externally rotate the hip, lifting that top knee up in the air. And then as you exhale, gently return where you started, closing the clam. Inhale, you're lifting up. And exhale, you're descending down. So we're going to do this with a little bit more repetition. Inhale creates the opening and the action. And the exhale releases you out of the pose. So some of you know I've been nursing an SI joint. My pelvis evidently at some point last year in 2020 got completely twisted and was aggravating my SI joint. And I've been dealing with it, and yoga has helped for the most part, but I've still been dealing with some pain. All right, once you close the clam, we're gonna hover, and I know I'm wearing black and you may not be able to see, but I have space in between each leg and foot. All right, on the inhale, it's the same idea. We're lifting the knee, opening the clam, and as we exhale, when we close the clam, we still have that space. So we're advancing the pose a little bit here. So anyway, I've been seeing a chiropractor for a few weeks. He's really helped my low back a lot. But he told me the other day, he was like, I don't want to see you for another 2 to 3 weeks. And it made me nervous because I was like, oh, I've been needing to see you like every few days. And he said, you know, just start every day with clam poses. He was like, do you know what those are? I'm like, oh yeah, I know what clam poses are. And so that's one reason we're doing this. Good, now release and slide your legs out. When you slide your legs out, flex the feet. Now the top leg is going to draw in first and then open from the hip, similar to clam, but then we'll sail the foot skyward. Now flex that ankle and notice how much the muscles are engaged through the leg when you flex the foot, and slowly lower and hover. All right, inhale, draw the knee in towards your chest, and then open the hip, and then sail the foot skyward. And then exhale, flex through the ankle, and lower it down. We're going to continue this. The inhale brings the knee in and the leg up, and the exhale slowly carries it towards the floor. We'll do one more. So we're going to be doing some different actions with the leg today that will create kind of that clam position, but we're going to be doing it from different positions. All right, the next time you draw that knee in, instead of doing that same sequence, you're just going to land the knee to the floor and you're going to use your hands to pivot onto your belly. And so this leg that you've been working with is going to create like that half frog leg, and you're going to stack to Sphinx arms. And when you stack to Sphinx arms, really push down through your elbows, especially, because that will help to uplift the sternum. Really drive your straight leg back and glue the foot to the floor. Maybe even retract the belly in towards the spine and gaze straight ahead with your eyes. Affirming here as you hold. I rise joyfully to greet each and every new opportunity and individual, knowing we are all interconnected. On your next inhale, let's stretch the other leg back to do regular Sphinx pose. And make sure your elbows are lined up underneath the inside of the shoulder bones. Your legs can be parallel. Just stretch back through thigh bones, shin bones, and feet. Prop yourself up and feel the heat and strength building that's occurring in your back. This is also a good flush for the adrenal glands and the kidneys. Take one more breath. Now, as you exhale, curl your toes under. I'm going to challenge you a little bit. You're going to pull the belly in and drive the hips up, so you're doing forearm plank. From forearm plank, bring one knee forward and then the other, kind of like tabletop position, except we're not staying here. We're going to curl the toes and we're going to lift the hips and we're going to push back away from the hands to form dolphin. Remember, the head should hover. So if you're working your triceps, your deltoids properly, hugging the belly in, then the head should hover even though the hair may actually touch the floor. Exhale, let's land the knees. And then let's sink the belly and lift the face up. So it's like cow tilt. And then exhale, round it out to cat stretch. And then continue with this pattern of movement. The inhale creates the saddle in the back, the open heart. And the exhale draws that navel in and bows the chin to the chest. Seeing if we can get rid of some of the stiffness in the body. When we get really cold, the body naturally kind of tenses up. So let's bring some warmth back to the muscles so our body's more pliable and supple. All right, let's go ahead and come up and swap sides on the mat. So we can start with clam pose. So remember, different positions for your head, pay attention to your neck. Double stack the legs and feet. Use this hand in front for balance. And then inhale, lift the knee. And you may even notice between the two sides, you may get a catch, like this side. This is where my issues are. I feel a catch here. I can't open as wide. And then exhale, release. And then continue with repetition. Inhale, open the clam. And then exhale, release. And I don't know about you, Carlos, or if there's any other men going to be joining us in the video later, but I think I can speak for most women. Most women tend to be more naturally open in the hips. And so usually when I do clam pose, I honestly don't feel a whole lot with the hip action.
So if you are one of those people, take your hand to the buttocks and notice when you open the clam, notice those muscles that engage. Because it's the external rotator of the hip that works with the gluteus medius muscles. And remember, we need the glutes to be really strong to keep a healthy body. So as you lift and hover that top leg, oh, you can see it better on this side. You'll inhale, open the clam, and then exhale, sink and hover again. And so we'll do the repetition here. So like this side, oh my God, I can really feel it, especially as we repeat the steps. So think about joints. Joints need the muscle groups around them to protect them. So I feel like this muscle is actually strong, but feeling strained because of this issue. I'm trying to figure out which muscle I've been overusing that's created this compromise with the joint. Let's do one more. And then release. All right, let's slide the legs out. So it's similar to Anatasana, except we're gonna flow. So the knee draws in first, and then you open it like the clam, and then fly the foot upward with the toe slightly pointed, and then dorsiflexion in the ankle, lead with the heel as you slowly descend. And we'll do that a few more times. The inhale creates the adjustment and the lift. And the exhale drives it back down. So I've decided today we're going to be active at first to warm the body. It's too cold to just do strictly restorative, but I promise we will get to some restorative at the end. Let's do one more. It's not important how high the leg gets, so don't worry about that. When you draw the knee in, I do want you to be cautious not to drive it in as much to the shoulder when you bring it to the floor. And we'll position ourselves back into that half frog and sphinx position. If the knee comes up too high, that could also be aggravating to the back. So lengthen out through the straight leg, root down through the forearms, fly up with your heart. Take some deep breaths here. And then affirming as you hold. I rise joyfully to greet each and every new opportunity and individual, knowing we are all interconnected in this tapestry of life. All right, we're slowly gonna take that leg back. Now at this point, if you wanna turn the mat to face me again, you can. If you're good this direction, just stay. Once we come into that Sphinx form, we're gonna curl the toes. We're gonna lift back up to forearm plank. This is our big strength pose today. And then go ahead and bring one knee and then the other down, kind of like tabletop. But we're gonna take the right forearm and turn in front of us, and we're gonna prop onto the left hand, okay? So that we can sail the left leg up and back behind us. And if you casually gaze over the left shoulder, splay the toes really wide. And then as you exhale, you're gonna draw that knee in towards the left upper arm. Okay, good. Inhale, extend it up and out. Typically you want that foot higher than the hip in this pose. And then exhale, slowly drive it in. Now the slower you go, the more you feel, and the stronger the muscles get. The more advanced you become as yogis, the more mastered the breath becomes. We increase that intake of oxygen so that you do have this long inhale and long exhale, which will make movement slower. I don't know why Americans think fast and furious is more advanced yoga, because it's not. All right, let's lower that left knee down. And we're gonna come all the way up to tabletop position. We're gonna stay on this left side here. Press through your ankles and drive up through the belly. And then you're gonna lift the left knee up and out to the side. Now see the similarity of clam here. As you exhale, lower the knee, but it doesn't have to touch the mat. Inhale, lift it up and out. Good, exhale, release. Let's do 3 more. Feel free to use that Ujjayi breath. Last one. Set the knee down and set your left forearm in front of you. The right hand can stay stationed as it is. We'll pick up the right foot, sail it up and back behind us, casually gaze back in its direction. But you don't have to continue to gaze that direction. I just want you to make sure you're spreading the toes really wide. And then exhale, draw that knee high up in towards that right arm or shoulder. Nice, steady, controlled movement. Nice, steady, controlled breath. Last one. And then we'll sink down to that knee, stack back onto both palms, and then we'll lift the right knee out to the side. So make tabletop first, strong tabletop position. And when you're ready, inhale, lift and open the right leg, and then exhale, slowly send it back down. Let your breath guide the movement. See if you can pause and retain at the top of the inhale just for a millisecond more before sinking it back to the floor. All right. We're gonna bring the hands a baby step more beyond the shoulders, curl the toes, and launch into downward facing dog. When you arrive to downward facing dog, plant those palms, stretch back through your arms, create space in between each vertebra. Let your head bow between the arms. Let's take a cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, release through the mouth. We're gonna walk the hands in towards the feet and bow over and down to Uttanasana. Let your head go, your neck unravel. Let your arms hang loosely off the back. Stretching out the back body. Bringing more or less engagement, depending on if you want to be yin or yang in your approach. Inviting the affirmation in. Nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back from performing acts of kindness, knowing we are all interconnected. We are one. Inhale, let's circle the arms to the sides and up overhead. And when the arms reach up towards the heavens, bring the palms together, lean the head back and gaze up. Gathering what you need, being open to receive. And then bring the hands to the upper back, roll the arms in towards your ears, lift through your floating ribs, lean your head back into your hands. So this back bend is more about your thoracic spine. So just imagine you're pushing your shoulder blades directly towards the cavity of your chest. Take some deep breaths. Bring that warmth up to your heart and soul. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. And then exhale, bring the hands down the midline, returning to Uttanasana. As you inhale, walk your hands out in front of you to come to plank. And from plank position, you're going to exhale, push back to downward facing dog. Now, we did dolphin earlier, coming from Sphinx to forearm plank to dolphin, which I know is challenging. But I want you to notice how much easier it is to move from downward facing dog down to dolphin. So you can lift your head just a little bit and observe as you lower one forearm than the other. And then the head will spill back down as you use the extra fire and power through your upper body strength to hold your dolphin. Take one last breath. Exhale, land to your knees. And we're ready for some restorative. I didn't want to be overly active, but I did want to get our muscles nice and warm. If you bring your bolster in or a pillow, we're going to separate the knees. We're going to slide that in between the thighs so that we can roll down to Balasana, child's pose. Feel free to rest on one cheek as you settle in. And if your home is chilly, remember you can cover yourself with a blanket to stay weighted and warm. Spread the arms. Close your eyes. Scan your body to see if you have any resistance towards this pose. If this pose is too much for your body, you can always flip onto your back and take the bolster under your knees for support. If you discover any pockets of resistance, see if you can breathe into it and release it away. If you find any tension, see if you can melt it away. Tune out any external noises. Create some space for some introspection. Maybe even being in the question, what warms your heart and soul? And can you bring some of that into your day? If you need something to focus on, remember the breath is always there. Now we're going to turn to the other cheek. Relax back into the pose. And go on a search for any hidden pockets of tension. I always tend to find mine in my face and jaw. Yours may be elsewhere. Continue to relax and breathe. Let's slide the hands closer towards us, pressing through them so that we can slowly come up. And we're going to move into a twist. Nope. We're going to bring that bolster beside the right hip. And make sure that you really extend long through the spine first, and then start to twist towards the bolster. And slowly descend down upon it and check in which cheek you should rest on and how that affects not only your neck, but your lumbar or low back. So I think we've all experienced when we're out in cold weather how the shoulders start to really gather and tense up towards the ears. So let your arms kind of widen away from the prop so your upper back can spread out and smooth out. And let your shoulders soften and thaw out. And when you're resting and breathing, notice the warmth underneath your chest. Bring that warmth up into your heart. Remember, the knees can either be staggered or stacked in this position. If you're nursing something similar like an SI joint, the stacking of the knees may take that impingement away. I'm going to give you time to just be and just breathe, because the breath can connect us back to source, back to God, back to the great intelligence, or whatever name you want to put with it. See if you can connect to create a state of oneness there. Slide the hands closer towards you and push down through the hands to slowly lift. And then we're going to turn the body the other way. Lifting up energetically first, because we want the circulation to come to the spinal disc. And that happens when we create that length and then rotate around. Gently lower down to the bolster or pillow, turning to the opposite cheek, splaying the arms wider. Take 7 more breaths. And slowly slide your hands in and press your way up to sit. And I would like to give you an option for the next pose. So if you want a restorative back bend, you can use it that way. And sometimes we need to open the heart so that we can be more forgiving, be more loving, bring that back the kindness and compassion to ourselves, to others. It's about acceptance, it's about tolerance. So if you've been feeling a little lack in this department, maybe opening your heart. If you would rather be on your back and the bolster set underneath the knees, then you're welcome to go there. Take your time settling into the pose of your choice, what you feel more inspired to move into, maybe what you think will benefit your body the most. I want to read to you some lyrics as you start to drift into this final relaxed state. And it's a song by Ziggy Marley. So if we were all together and if I could play music, I would be playing this song for you. There is a knowledge we all know, yet we don't know. We are one, we are one. There is a spirit we all know, yet we don't know. We are one, we are one. It is so hard to love one another, my brother, and to see each other as we are, my sister, this earthly family forever. We are one, we are one. Wake up now. Wake up now. Wake up to this realization. We are one. So I mentioned, let your yoga be a reminder to be warm and kind, loving and forgiving. And let your practice and the experience help you to connect back, to discover for yourself this truth. We are one. If you need a mantra, feel free to use that lyric, we are one. Or you can make it more of an affirmation. I am. an integral part of this tapestry of life. I am interwoven with everyone and everything. And if you don't want words to repeat, to keep and maintain the mental focus, you can gaze in and up to your mind's eye, or you can just follow and bear witness to your breath. Let's all take a cleansing breath together. Breath in through the nose. Let it escape through the mouth. When you're ready, draw the knees in if you're flat on your back. Just bend the knees if you're in a back bend and swish them side to side. When you're ready, turn to one side of your body and you can either sit on a pillow, bolster, folded blanket, or block. When you come up to take a seat, open your palms on your lap, but close your eyes. Appreciate your breath. The breath being the thread that weaves the mind, the body, the spirit together as one. The breath that connects us to each other, to the earth, to the heavens, and to the greater intelligence behind it all. May we all find warmth and comfort in this connection, in the fact, in the truth that we are one. Joining your hands together to Anjali Mudra, bowing your head humbly to your heart. My soul sees and recognizes your soul. My soul sees and respects your soul. My soul humbly bows to your soul. Namaste.